What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Today we are checking out another amazing video from Mr. Well, I don't know if he's a Mr. But we're checking out a video from Elly Productions, and it's called How a Cheater Became a Champion. I have no idea who he's going to talk about, so this is going to be interesting. Let's go check it out.
What is the butterfly effect? Well, besides a really shitty movie starring Ashton Kutcher,
I remember that film. Long time ago.
You're religious, Carlos.
it's also a phenomenon, a theory that describes how small changes in the present can have a widespread effect on the future.
Sir.
You know how people joke that if a time traveler stepped on a bug, everything would be different? That's the butterfly effect. And nowhere is it more prevalent than in motorsports. In some cases, a slight shift in the sand can spell one's downfall. In others, those shifts can be one's saving grace. Hell, even the tiniest, most minuscule, almost imperceivable changes can provide your salvation or spell your doom.
We've seen that so many times where you can think back to a certain moment that defined somebody's championship. Maybe they lost it or they gained it. It's always something you're like, if only they had that extra point at wherever race circuits it was, that would have changed so many things. But yeah, crazy, isn't it?
Truex is out of gas. He's not going to finish.
Oh man, you don't.
There's no
run
rhyme
out
or
of
reason
gas.
to it. It just happens.
Ramming
so
to
let's
the
take a look
lane.
at an example at how one of NASCAR's biggest scandals made way for its newest champion.
Oh man, I'm ready for this. Who is a scammer? Who cheated?
It's September 7th, 2013.
Catalyst.
We're
Oh man, this is like a proper story. It's like watching a movie.
in Richmond, Virginia for the Federated Auto Parts 400. For most racing series, this race would be an afterthought, just another mid-season match to get us one step closer to the real battle. But NASCAR is not most racing series. Ever since they adapted it 9 years prior, this race at Richmond has served as the final stop before the chase, NASCAR's version of a postseason. So for a select few drivers, this race is make or break. Never mind the 25 that came before it, this is where they need to step up. And tonight there's 11 of them hoping to do just that. Among them is a familiar name on this list, as he's entered this race in a similar position the past 2 years,
Watching
once where he
Truex.
didn't make it and once where he did. The only difference is that this year, Martin Truex Jr. has a win under his
Truex.
belt, and while
I said
wins have yet
Truex.
to become a guarantee of playoff positioning, it has put him into the last wildcard spot, reserved exclusively for drivers who are below the cut line but have won races during the regular season. So despite being 13th and 15 points out, he could still nab one of those 12 chase spots, provided he doesn't allow either of these guys to win. Well, unfortunately, one of them starts on the pole, but after just 50 laps, Jeff Gordon would fade back and give way to the rest of the field. And as the race reached its end, it would turn out to be the other guy, Ryan Newman, who was in the best position possible. With just 10 laps to go, he makes the pass on Carl Edwards for the lead,
Is he gonna
for the
take him
win,
out?
and potentially for the chance at a championship. Then, just 60 seconds later, everything changes.
And on four. Trouble for Boyer.
What?
Caution flag is out.
blue
Things
tire.
change again.
Wow. See right here. Boyer. He did get a tap.
Oh,
Believe it or
somebody's
not, there was no
spun him.
banana peel on the track. Coming out of turn 4, Truex's teammate Clint Boyer just slipped. But hey, that happens. I'm sure there's nothing to read into there. Let's get back to the
What?
race, because Carl Edwards won the
Teammates
race off pit
assist.
road and now holds the lead. Wait a minute, why is Boyer pitting again? Didn't he just come down? And why is his other teammate Brian Vickers doing the same? He can make it to the end. Whatever, maybe they were both hit with the camera gun from Cars 2.
I remember that. No, that was
At
a
race's
funny
end,
film.
Carl Edwards snags the win, Newman finishes third, and Martin Truex achieves a much-needed 7th place, one that would lock him in as the 12th driver in the chase for the Cup. And there's
Okay,
nothing else
okay.
to see here, nothing else to read into. Stuff happened, let's move
Yeah,
on.
things
The
are
Clint Boyer spin
coincidence, right?
basically created circumstances that allowed his Michael Waltrip Racing teammate Martin Truex to get in.
Shut up, Alan, you don't know what you're talking about. Look, here's the replay to prove it.
Is your arm starting to hurt? I bet it's hot in there, itching. Oh, yeah. Pit, Clint. Pit. With no speed. Damn, we didn't need to finish last.
That was weird. But look, we have Clint right here. I'm sure he can explain.
Did you spin on purpose to help your teammate?
No, I think we had a flat tire or something. I mean, we went from leading the race and got back there, and I mean, they were driving off from us.
Okay, so he's not winning any acting awards. But we've still got Vickers radio
Okay,
here. Let's
I'm
take a
so
listen.
confused right now.
We're probably going to pit here.
What's
on green.
happening?
We got to pit. You talking to me? We got to pit? Yeah, we're going to pit. We're going to pit. What? Got to pit this time. We need that 1 point. Do I got a tire going down? Yes.
Hey, pal. You just blowing from stupid down?
If a driver has to ask his spotter if he has a tire going down, chances are he's full of shit. And with all this evidence taken into consideration, NASCAR handed down the punitive equivalent to the atomic bomb.
What? What they do? So
The
what?
following Monday, they
Obviously the driver would know if they have a flat, unless it's like a very, very slow flat. But at the speed they're doing, it's probably gonna explode anytime. So they would definitely know.
handed down a $300,000 fine, suspended their general manager, sidelined their crew chiefs for the remainder of the season, and deducted 50 points from all 3 of their entries.
Oh,
And that
my
spot in the
goodness gracious.
postseason, the one that Martin had spent the last 8.5 months chasing, it was gone.
Oh,
Given
man,
back
that's
to
a
Ryan
real
Newman.
spanking ass.
Crazier than that, they would even add a 13th postseason slot for Jeff Gordon, essentially making up a new rule to give Michael Waltrip Racing the finger. Well played, NASCAR.
Wow.
MWR had quite literally paid the steepest price possible, and somehow
They
it was
came
only the
down
beginning.
hard on them.
Not even 2 weeks removed from the incident, Napa Auto Parts, who had been sponsoring Truex for 4 seasons and had just signed on a multi-year extension, jumped ship from the 56 team, stating Napa believes in fair play and does not condone actions such as those that led to the penalties assessed by NASCAR. Now, to be fair, Napa had already dealt with more than they bargained for in 2007 when Michael Waltrip's Daytona car was found with fuel additive that turned his Napa Toyota into a NASA rocket, and
Jesus Christ, what is going on in the world of NASCAR? But I do like the fact that the governing bodies penalize the hell out of them. Formula One is to learn from this. Red Bull, they be saying, yeah, they overspent, but that's on catering and all that kind of jazz in Formula One. So they need to learn from NASCAR.
still, Napa stuck around, continuing to support the team for the next 7 years. They had proven they were as loyal as they come, but race manipulation, that's where they drew the line. So at the end of the 2013 season, they would drop Michael Waltrip Racing and evaluate their future position in motorsports. A position that would become clear just a few months later as they signed on to sponsor the 18-year-old phenom Chase Elliott in his first Xfinity Series season, which led to a championship, which led them to continue their support into his Cup career, which led to another championship. Needless to say, they're doing just fine. But the same couldn't be said for Michael Waltrip Racing. In the wake of this huge loss, they were forced to downsize, fielding one less car and laying off 40 employees, including Martin Truex, whose 4-year tenure with the team would end in embarrassment and disgrace. Despite this, the now 2-car team marched forward, albeit with far less vigor than they had in the past. They might have survived the largest penalty in the sport's history, but they sure would pay for it, as they would never win another race, and although they would narrowly make the chase just one more time with Clint Boyer, they would wind up getting bounced in the first round. Just 3 years prior, this car finished runner-up in the whole championship. Now, it would finish the chase in last place, 16th of 16 drivers. And after announcing their closure at the end of the 2015 season, that fateful number 15 would go out fittingly, spinning out next to Dale Jr. and being relegated to last place.
I hate to end this way. I wanted to end, on a strong note for everybody at MWR. Unfortunately, it's over.
It's such a shame that the last sort of memory of them is that the scandal, bro. That's no good. But yeah, so sad.
Backtracking to the 2014 offseason, there weren't a lot of options for the now unemployed Truex Jr. Most silly season moves had already been made, and it seemed like the best seats had already been filled. But there was one vacancy remaining, at the only team west of the Mississippi. So they struck a deal, as Martin Truex Jr. would take his talents to the Rocky Mountains to join Furniture Row Racing. Before the arrival of MTJ, there were 2 Furniture Rows. There was the pre-2013 one, a one-win wonder that punched above its weight and never finished a full season higher than 26th. And then there was the year that the Outlaw came to town. In just one season, Kurt Busch collected more top 5s and top 10s than the entire team had gotten in its first 8 years in the Cup Series.
What a driver.
He even had a record-breaking pole run at Darlington and finished runner-up twice, but just couldn't put it all together for their second victory. Still, by all accounts, it was a standout season. But despite that white-hot momentum, Kurt decided to move on at year's end, leaving the door wide open for Martin Truex to pick up where he left off. A few months ago, Martin thought he'd be out of the sport entirely, but here he was with a new lease from a team on the rise. Most thought he'd come out of the gate swinging, and when he nabbed the outside pole for the Daytona 500, it looked like that's exactly what he'd do. But then they started running the races.
Oh my god, explosion.
They were abysmal, right back in the basement where they were before Kurt Busch. Besides some solid runs at the end, this year was nothing to write home about. So heading into the next season,
just goes to show sometimes it's not about the cars, man. And it's not just about the drivers either. You gotta have the right equipment with the right driver to be successful, and they are learning that right now.
They made some big changes, most notably moving their lead race engineer, Cole Pern, up to the role of crew chief. And boy howdy would it pay dividends in 2015. While he could only manage a single win at Pocono, MTJ and the Furniture Row crew, with suffocating levels of consistency, managed to hold second in points most of the season. This team, that had just finished a year sub-20th, was in second. Whatever hopes they had when they first signed Martin had been well surpassed, though their optimism would be tested just before the playoffs, as they would drop all the way to a 9th place seed. For a relatively young team with a relatively unsuccessful driver, people didn't expect them to go far, but then they waltzed through the first round, waltzed through the second round, and amidst some controversy, waltzed into the championship race. In just his second season with his new team, after a year where he didn't even make the postseason, Martin had surpassed every expectation that was put on him by making the championship 4. And even though he'd fall short in Homestead, he still had a lot to be proud of. Just 2 years ago, he thought his career in NASCAR was over, but now he's proven himself as one of the sport's greatest drivers, leaving him with just one more prize to pursue. Despite coming off their best season yet, Furniture Row was still swinging for the fences. Instead of aligning with RCR, they'd receive support from Gibbs, and instead of running Chevrolets, they'd run Toyotas. But they still had Truex, poised as ever to win the championship, and his bid would kick off in one of the best and yet most painful ways possible, as he would miss out on a Daytona 500 win by just 1/100th of a second. Yep, this one still hurts. And as the season carried forward, that follow-up win proved agonizingly elusive. He led laps, he had winning pace, and yet when all the chips were down, somebody else would always take them away. It got so bad that just to win a race, he had to lead more miles than any driver in any NASCAR race ever. But he did it, and picked up one more for good measure heading into the playoffs. After 2 more wins in the opening round, a spot in the championship was all but assured, but after some lackluster results in the following 2 races, a blown motor would spell doom and day.
Man. This guy is almost as unlucky as Dale was with what do they call it, the 500. That is crazy.
Every once in a while, I guess you'll have a failure. It's just unfortunate was with everything on the line.
Well, that sucks, but by most every metric besides the championship result, Truex had taken yet another step forward. He was no longer a non-factor, no longer an underdog, but a genuine championship threat. And come the following year, 2017, all of that potential would be realized.
Martin Truex, Martin Truex, Martin Truex, Martin
Oh, he's out here just grabbing W's every day. Jeez.
Earlier this week, Martin announced his retirement from full-time Cup racing, and it's had me in quite the funk. Not just over losing my favorite driver, but thinking about all the times where he shoulda, coulda, woulda. Especially as of late. It feels like he loses more than he wins, which, I mean, duh, everybody does, but even when he shines, puts on a clinic, dominates from flag to flag, it just doesn't tend to work out. But as they say, that's racing. And if us Truex fans can take solace in anything, it's this. A season where, even with its own handful of heartbreakers, everything fell into place. Where Martin Truex finally broke through to realize a dream that wouldn't be possible without that nightmare in 2013. We can let our lowest moments define us, or we can let them guide us. Martin Truex Jr. chose the latter, which is why no matter what happens until Phoenix in the fall, he'll always be a champion. Thanks for watching.
Now that was pretty dope. That is so cool. Yeah, the way he had to bounce back from all that madness, all the cheating, the scandal the team was doing, and the punishment. Jumping to a new squad, taking them to victory, winning the championship. Oh, brilliant. Brilliant story. I love that. I love that. Big shout out to Elly Productions one more time. That was sick, man. Anyway, yes. Every time I watch one of these videos, I learn so much. There's still a lot to learn. Sometimes they go in and out straight away. So bear with me as I'm still trying to let it settle in. So I might have to say a few things over and over again a few times. Okay. All right. We're going to jump out of here. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy. Goodbye. Peace.